All right, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Shut Up and Enjoy. We have both collectively lost our minds. My name is Teen Definitely Not Mephisto, and I'm joined here by my fellow co-host, Killy Baplin. Immediately, I'm thinking of Bapcat on Instagram above anything else. Well, it has been a minute since we have graced you with our thoughts and antics, but we're back and we're gonna be doing Agatha All Along, latest Disney Plus Marvel show to come out. We are going to be doing this in thirds because our schedules are so incredibly off the absolute collective wall.
Yeah,
Uh,
we busy.
yeah, we be busy. So we're going to be doing this in this series in thirds. So today we're going to be doing the first three episodes of Agatha All Along, doing some summaries, some reviews, and having some fun and all that stuff. Then in a few weeks we'll be doing more, but hopefully we will be able to have some stuff peppered in between. There's also Penguin that's out. There's the Dante Hates Fantasy episode that we got to do.
Who?
Dante is another friend of mine whose mind is not
Who him?
not all not all there, Killy Baplin. Not
Kelly love fantasy.
so yeah, today we're gonna start diving into Agatha All Along, and without any further ado, Killy Baplin, you want to give us a little rundown of episode one?
Let's do it. Episode one. Seekest Thou the Road? In a crime noir television series titled Agnes of Westview, Agnes O'Connor is a police detective in Westview fixated on a John Doe murder case. One night, a teenager breaks into Agnes's house looking for the road. Agnes believes he is tied to the murder case and arrests him. Rio Vidal, an FBI agent, comes to Agnes and helps her realize the Jane Doe she is seeking is actually Wanda Maximoff's body, and that Agnes is actually the witch Agatha Harkness, who has been trapped under Wanda's spell for 3 years. Waking up from the spell, Agatha realizes that her powers are gone and that Rio, a fellow witch with whom Agatha has history, is there to kill her. Agatha convinces Rio to spare her until she gets her powers back, but Rio warns Agatha that the Salem Seven will soon come after her. After Rio leaves, Agatha is unsure what to do about Teen, whom she actually kidnapped under the influence of Wanda's spell. There he is.
Yeah. A lot of questions were raised in this first episode.
Hmm.
Who the fuck is Rio Vidal and why am I in love with Aubrey Plaza? I don't think this second question really needs any explanation because let's be real. Aubrey Plaza, she's a goddamn gem, a phenomenal
She is
actress,
a
and
treasure.
knocks it out of the park in every role she is in.
Absolutely.
Um, Catherine Hahn back as Agatha Harkness seems a little loopy right now when we some of the layers start to get peeled back from Wanda's spell. But yeah, definitely a really good introduction to it. I liked how they kind of carried on and then started to fizzle out the sitcom thing a little bit from, or the, I guess, TV reality
Yeah.
from WandaVision. I thought that was really good kind of fade away from WandaVision, bringing it back into I guess Earth 616
We can only guess at this
at
point
this
what
yeah at
it
this
is.
point.
But yeah, they
Uh,
definitely did a good job of having that as a when it first started, and of course, and she pulls up to the crime scene and goes and talks to Herb.
yeah,
That's his name, right? Herb. And they
Earth,
walk down to the water. The water.
the water, yeah, that Pennsylvania water.
That was good to see that it was playing off as a show, kind of like again how WandaVision was when it first started, and it was a show. It was sitcoms in her instance, but it was a
Mhm.
police procedural in this instance, and it was really fun to see that dynamic as it was going through.
Absolutely. And even after the initial um like interaction with them, after you see the faceless corpse, because
Right.
God forbid we pay actors and actresses for a bit of a cameo. Um, we started to see some things peek through reality. Like we see her brooch that she finds in the
Hmm.
puddle with the mother, maiden, and crone on it, which goes back into witch lore and the Wiccan religion. Um, it even gives us like the title credits, or even of like the title credits to the Agnes of Westview show, not
Right.
Agatha All Along.
Yeah.
And it follows, I really liked how it followed the yellow caution tape as a nod to the Yellow Brick Road. And we know
Hmm.
later on in the series we're going to get to the Witch's Road. And from the
Right.
previews, it's like the Witch's Road gives you what you want most. So probably um, we're gonna get Agatha trying to get her powers back, maybe get the dark hold.
Hmm.
We don't know. We have options. We have
Right.
options.
Right. And that's it's always good to have options, of course.
Definitely.
Sometimes it's kind of thinking about how we're doing this podcast and doing it in thirds, kind of difficult to go back to that episode one and try not to give too much of what we've seen since
Yeah.
and then bring it back to episode one. But again, as she was in her, as we come to learn, it was all in her head, and she was going a little. You've been acting a little weird there, Miss Agnes, for the past couple of weeks, and we realized that everything that we saw in Agnes of Westview was more or less in her head, and Rio Vidal ends up coming in, and just that dynamic of them playing off of how Rio in the Agnes of Westview
Was the
show, as it
CIE,
were, was essentially in her head trying to get her to break free of Wanda's curse
which
or
is almost
Wanda's
the same
hex.
juxtaposition as Agatha had in WandaVision to Wanda,
Right, right.
which I thought it was almost like a role reversal type of
Yeah,
thing. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, while I won't be the nosy neighbor, I'm also going to be the nosy neighbor.
right. So will we get a it was Rio all along
I hope so.
song?
I hope so. Dun, 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 dun. Um, yeah, and so once once she finds a little bit of evidence, goes talks to the librarian, we then see our first weird, like supernatural-esque thing. We see the fire in the library, right?
Yes.
And I was thinking like it's off that, just a section of the library is charred
Hmm.
a little bit. One kind of theory that I saw that I'm going with because why not? Was that that's in part maybe a nod to the Vision versus Vision fight
Ah, that did happen in the library.
in the
Yeah.
library when they start talking about the ship of Theseus.
Yes. Yes, I did not think about that, but that could possibly make sense.
Thank you,
I
Ron.
was thinking it was perhaps the Darkhold being burned in every,
Every universe, yeah.
yeah. Um, and as we saw, as she was going through her investigation and figuring, did the title of the book ended up spelling out Darkhold and that type of thing. So it was kind of like all kind of bringing together. But again, at the same time, was that Rio putting that in there as,
Kind of pepper in some
yeah,
thoughts and emotion.
yeah.
Yeah, it definitely left me with more questions at the end of this episode than
Hmm.
it answered, which I think was good. And they were questions based on engagement and wanting more. And so I think this was one of the first MCU TV series that really had a solid pilot that brought you in more than the trailers themselves.
Yes. And I think the reason why that is because there isn't a big backstory that you can go into this series with expectations because it's something that you've read in comics or something that you've seen in an animated project somewhere.
Mhm.
The for the most part, granted, Agatha Harkness is a comic book character. Didn't have a super huge roles in those comics. It was, always a secondary character. And she was, for the most part, a secondary character in WandaVision as well, until she revealed herself to be the main antagonist.
He was
And
that
then from that, was that
he was that nosy neighbor.
that nosy neighbor, which we all have.
Speaking of our conversation earlier,
Yeah, HOA situations. Ugh. But so we didn't have a lot to go on. So going going into this series is more of a you can really put yourself into it and understand what the showmakers are trying to show, what the writers are writing, what the directors are directing, and it gives you more engagement and more food for thought as to what is going on, as opposed to going in with expectations and just singularly focused on some things that you want to see, you have to see. We don't have any of that. We have a good show that we can shut up and enjoy. Imagine that.
oh, just wait for lesbian witches.
I'm a fan of it, so
Mm.
works for me.
So let's move a little bit more to Joe Locke's character.
Yeah.
So Joe Locke, I'm sure everyone knows, Broadway debut in Sweeney Todd, and most notably known for his role as Charlie Spring in Heartstopper. Phenomenal actor, and we have no idea who the fuck he's playing aside from Teen
Yes.
in this show.
Yes.
Um, Agatha, the what we know from episode one is he is a stan of Agatha. He is a fan of Agatha Harkness, who has apparently done all of his high school research papers on Agatha, gone to school in at some New England prep school, and every Halloween had a term paper based on the Salem witch trials, and every one of those theses were written about Agatha Harkness type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, we first see him as he is seemingly trying to, well, he does break into Agatha's house. Um, which also that timing seemed a little too perfect as
Yes. It was
well,
fortuitous
because
for sure.
Rio and Agatha were talking, and Rio's like, "Do you even remember why you hate me?"
Hmm.
Getting back to those roots, and Agatha has this like 1,000 yard stare going on, um, that I think is it's the splintering of the reality that Wanda put her in. But I think with Joe Locke's character trying to steal out, like I almost wonder, was he trying to steal something for him to get to the road or actually to help Agatha? Like, are his motives selfish or actually in partnership with Agatha? The more I think about it, the more I'm unsure. So a little bit of theorizing here.
Yeah, it's it's interesting because we don't really know what part of it was just in her head as opposed to what part of it was in the I guess we'll call it the real world, the 616.
Yeah.
When when Agatha and Rio are talking, is that in her head or is it real world? When Teen breaks in, is that real or is that in her head? Um, so at what point does he actually break in, look and grab the locket or brooch or whatever, and then go out the window? She chases after him. He gets hit by the car. Then they supposedly are having the
Well, not just gets hit by the car, but whose car?
yes, Miss Miss Hart slash Davis.
Art Davis, Sharon?
Yeah. Um, so that begs the question, what part of it is real? Then, of course, they supposedly go to the interrogation room, which we later found out is not an interrogation room, it's just her living room.
Yeah.
So,
Her car, too, is right in the living
yeah. So it's interesting to see or to kind of find out exactly what is happening there. Because, you know, did he actually break in, or was he just someone who uh, is is a fan of Agatha, is a fan of the Wiccan lifestyle. He did have the uh, the ink or the dark fingers, but that he said was ink. But we've seen that before of other witches who've been dealing with dark hold or dealing with dark arts, dark magic. Is he a part of that? Is he a part of the Salem Seven? Who knows, at this point.
I'm curious to know more about the Salem Seven because they're definitely geared up to kind of be the ultimate baddie of the show, of like
Hmm.
the one thing that Agatha fears, but we don't necessarily know why. Are they the seven witches of her mother's coven that we saw in that flashback that she killed, or are they witch goddesses, the first seven to be killed? Like I nine rings were given to the world of man who above all else wanted greed and doomed to fail, and three to the Avengers wise and above all else. And like I don't know.
Yeah, it is a great question, and why did they, why are they just now showing up? Could be another question. I mean, she did well. Let's see. Clearly, she's been around for a long time.
Mhm.
She stole I think she stole their powers in 16 something. So
Yeah.
we're talking some 400 years later. So she's been around for a long time. After Wanda displayed her power set in Westview, Agatha went to Westview to essentially fuck around with Wanda. Did all she did there, then got locked away for 3 years, then came out of being locked away, and now the Salem Seven is showing up. It's interesting to find out why.
So I wonder if that one's more like because she was starting to regain her consciousness and they sense that she's not as powerful because she doesn't have the dark hold, maybe. She's vulnerable. I mean, that would explain what I think that was a little bit of why Rio Vidal finally came after her, right?
Mm, time will tell.
Yeah. So episode one kind of trails off a little bit from that. We got our introduction. We met our main characters, Agatha, Rio, and Teen. And Teen's just kind of sitting in the closet after Agatha and Rio have like a destructive fight in the kitchen,
Yeah, yeah.
followed by a lesbian witch moment, which, yeah, okay.
There's
Um,
definitely there's definitely some sexual tension going on between those two.
they have some history, and it's not just
Yes.
mortal enemies. They had a significant relationship that I'm sure we will learn more about throughout the series. So that to be analyzed later.
Yeah.
So now we kind of fold into episode two.
Alrighty. Circle sown with fate, unlock thy hidden gate. The teen reveals he freed Agatha from the spell and wishes to travel the witch's road, which rewards any witch who survives his trial what they desire most. In Agatha's case, the restoration of her powers. Agatha also realizes magic is preventing her from learning any personal information about the teen, including his name. Needing a coven to open a portal to the road, the pair recruits the witches Lilia Calderu, Jennifer Kale, and Alice Wu Gulliver, who all have reasons to walk the road as well. Needing a green witch, but not wanting to recruit Rio, Agatha instead turns to Westview resident Sharon Davis, a talented gardener. As the four witches and Sharon perform the ritual to open the gate to the road, they and the team escape through it to narrowly evade the Salem Seven. The group then removes their footwear and sets off on the witch's road.
Biggest things here, we got some more Deborah Jo Rupp, who, yes, and we got introduced to the one and only Patty LuPone, who takes no
Hmm.
shit from no one and will throw Madonna under the bus.
Yes, yes, you will.
If you haven't seen that episodes of Hot Ones, go see it between Patty LuPone and Aubrey Plaza. You won't regret it, I
Yeah,
promise.
yes, very
Um,
good.
yeah, so they set out originally they set out to find a coven, and one of the rules of witchcraft is there's always a coven within 3 miles
Hmm.
of where you are. So first up, they stop at Lilia Caldero's divination crystal ball shop,
Hmm.
where Agatha is like, all right, we're gonna test and see what's going on, see what's happening. Turns out Lilia Caldero actually does know what she's doing and all that stuff, feeding the false pretenses that Agatha was feeding her, as well as coming up with some interesting stuff that's way too on point for someone who wouldn't know what they're talking about.
Right.
And then we get that nice line from the trailer after they start talking, when Agatha pitches joining the coven. Lilia's response is, "No witch in their right mind would join a coven with Agatha Harkness." And she goes, "I'm not looking for witches in in their right mind, as
That's
it
right.
so happens." Um, so there's a nice moment kind of there where you're starting to see Agatha become more of who she is, getting that almost that confidence back and that self-identity back of a
Hmm.
batshit crazy sociopathic, but not really, because the way she was looking at Nikki Scratch's room in episode 1 was,
Yeah.
we'll be circling back to that one.
Yeah, it's definitely something interesting going on there.
Yeah. So they're talking, and Lilia Calderon has a divination moment where she ends up writing down on a piece of paper like four names of four witches that she needs to recruit, because
Hmm.
her gift is that she can see kind of into the future a little bit, which we see more of coming soon.
That's right. And I think that's definitely going to be an interesting piece to the story of, is she seeing the future? Is she seeing the past? Is she in the past talking to someone in the future, talking to herself in the future? Um, how exactly is all of this going to wrap around and play into the show?
Yes, how indeed.
How indeed.
So what are your thoughts kind of at this point in the series, about halfway through, give or take, episode 2?
Hmm.
What's what's kind of going through your mind a little bit is like analyzing the show?
All in for it because we're seeing the beginnings of where the show is going, the was the point of the show as far as getting a coven together to go and walk the witch's road. We still know that for all intents and purposes, Agatha ain't a nice person. She bad witch.
But the show wants you to root for her.
Right, right, because it is her show. It's her show now, right? Um, so it's interesting to see how she's playing it with these other witches that she's going to see. How she's playing it with Teen, who she doesn't know who he is. He's got a spell over him, so he can't really reveal who
You.
he is to anyone, right? Sigil, I believe that is what they call it.
Yes.
So is she doing all of this just for selfish reasons? Is she doing this to help the other witches get what they want as well? Is she doing this to help the teen get what he wants? Or is it all about her? And I think we're seeing the beginnings of her putting together her team, her squad to go and walk the road.
Yeah. One thing that I liked about this is that they are using a lot of symbolism
Hmm.
in here between her brooch in episode one. You see the raven that lands on top of the building after they see Lilia Calderon. And there's the tarot cards as well are starting to play into this. So I do like how there's a lot of deep symbolism that they're
Yes.
pulling from from actual divination practices and witchcraft and wiccanry and gothic, I don't want to say architecture, but like gothic
That
culture
works. Yeah.
almost, where they do it looks like they are actually putting in the effort to make this accurate in that sense, which again, you have fucking Scrooge McDuck money, Disney. Like,
Oh boy. So after they leave Lilia, they go and see Jennifer Kale,
uh-huh.
who is selling skin products, beauty products, I guess we could say. She's being sued
By a lot of people.
by quite a few people. And she's bound, so she can't use her powers at all. She's the potions witch.
She is. So one thing that I kind of wondered was like, okay, so you can't use your magic, but you can still mix ingredients together? Like where that is a technicality that I will admit I festered on a little too long. Um, so I can only imagine what the fandom is thinking with that one.
Oh, it's lesbian witches, so the fandom isn't watching, don't you know?
No, they're watching to hate. Let the hate flow through you.
That what you just said is a very good question. I guess the
Like when does like essentially baking become magic?
right. That is a great question. And perhaps again, that might be another question that will come down the road. Oh,
Down, 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 down.
yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely a is it Gwyneth Paltrow goop sense
Yes.
on this one,
Uh-huh.
where it's like the holistic homeopathic creams and apothecary. That's the word I'm looking for.
That's a good word. Yes.
Very apothecary-esque. Um, so they get her. She ends up freaking out two customers because she's an asshole and it's funny as shit. Uh, I feel like Agatha is all of our intrusive thoughts, but with just being her thoughts.
Yeah.
She is a witch of intrusive thoughts.
Hmm. And we like that.
We do. We very much like it.
Yes.
So that's the potions witch that they
Hmm.
get. Excuse me. Next one, the was it the blood witch
Yes. Protection.
is, and it's interesting
Alice.
they call it the blood witch. Um, I don't know. I don't know if think I don't know if it fits as well as it should, unless because it makes me think of like blood magic,
Hmm.
where I always saw that as like an aggression or a curse or a hex versus used for defense.
Hmm.
Which, if she is the protective witch, you would think she would have more of a defensive like play and vibe to her. I mean, she is a security guard, uh,
Right.
pretty much hot topic, um, which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
It,
Nothing wrong with Hot Topic.
it needs a security guard or three. Um, so I don't know if I'm sold on that title of Blood Witch, just as a general thing, as a
This is a
thought.
thing.
Yeah. Um, but they found her, and Agatha obviously has Teen try to steal something. He doesn't. Alice catches him. Then they bribe her with the road. And we find out there's mommy issues,
Hmm.
but not necessarily like mommy issues so much as just like mommy's dead.
Yeah. Mommy gone.
She gone. She gone.
So I think the plan is for, or not the plan, but what she would like to do is find out exactly what happened to mommy.
Yes. Do we find out who mommy is in this?
In this episode, I don't think so. Well, I think it's mentioned, but it's not.
She was a singer
Yeah.
in this episode. I think that's all
Yeah.
we know. Um, so they get there, three witches together, presumably with the coven, but not, but maybe, but not, um, not Rio. Then they head back to Agatha's house for a dry cracker and cheese entree. They all show up. And as they are downstairs chanting and singing the ballad of the Witch's Road,
Hmm.
moving forward, with Sharon Hart just loving her life. She was
Yes.
invited to a party. She wanted to go to a party.
Yes.
Sharon
Hanging
wanted
out with the girls.
yeah, have a girls' night. Drink some wine, have a girls'
Hmm.
night.
Yep.
While Teen is upstairs, and then we get dark. We get some thriller, jump scares, suspense. Kind of where I thought the Acolyte was going
Oh, with
a
the
little bit
darkness.
with this because it was advertised as a like thriller Star Wars show. I got more thriller out of this show in these first what two episodes
Hmm.
than I did out of 8 episodes of The Acolyte.
I don't know if it was advertised as a thriller though.
It was more of a suspense thing,
Yeah.
I thought. I thought I read that.
Who wrote it though?
Wow. We're talking like 2 years ago at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Um,
But
but
no,
yes, you're correct. This had that when the Salem Seven showed up first, it was just the one, and then they did the flash, and it was, peeled
all
out on the
7 of them
side.
and
And my man Herb got the hell on.
like, oh hell nah with this shit. Hell nah. Finally. The one person in a horror scene who doesn't walk into the haunted house. It only took, how long has Hitchcock been dead? Like, mother of Lord in heaven. No, you see seven motherfuckers in cloaks walking down the street, turn the other goddamn way and
Yes.
go home.
Yes. Get all the way the hell out of there. But so that was funny. Got a real good laugh out of that. And then Teen clocks them and he's like, "Hey, what the hell?" They
Look,
come in through the window trying to grab him and
yeah.
yeah, so that was nice. That was a nice horror sequence while they were singing the Ballad of the Witch's Road. So that was good. That was good camera work, good filmmaking. That's the shit. That's the good shit.
And it wasn't, I hope this isn't the last we see of that horror.
Mm.
So while Teen is defending the house, the witches are singing. It originally doesn't work, and then we get some of Agatha's craziness of "Blast me, you bitches!" But it's like, okay, clearly she's not in it for them.
Yeah, now we know.
She's in it for Agatha.
Yeah, she just want power.
Wants to get her purple back. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I apologize if you're not watching this video. These noises are just me imitating being Agatha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so eventually their tempers boil over and you get that emotive side of magic that comes in, that actually opens the door
Yep.
to the witch's road,
Hmm.
in Agatha's basement. And then funny enough, Teen's the first one down there. He's running down
Yes.
there. They open, he's like, bitch, I'm out. Bitch, we gone.
He's like, yo, there's some shit going on. I'm out.
Y'all got
Then-
the fucking magical witchy powers. I'm out of here like a fat kid in dodgeball. Yeah.
And so as they're all going down the stairs, then we get that nice horror.
That fucking like exorcist, like
Yeah.
backwards crawling down the stairs, like shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was great. Again, that whole sequence, that last 5-10 minutes of the show was excellent.
Hmm.
Excellent. So
Be good. Be good.
yeah.
So yeah, it literally stops with them on the road and then flesh touch earth, what have you. They got to kick off their shoes and start walking
Walking
the
the
witch's
road.
road
Yeah.
and scene. Episode 3.
All right. Through many miles of tricks and trials. To reach the end of the road, the coven will face trials that focus on different branches of witchcraft. They also realize that the teen's sigil prevents any witch from learning his identity. At the first trial, the coven finds a coastal house with a bottle of wine that everyone but the teen drinks. Jen privately warns the teen not to trust Agatha, who is said to have traded her child for the Darkhold. A timer starts counting down, and Jen realizes the wine was poisoned as Sharon faints. As they gather ingredients to create an antidote, the witches hallucinate. Lilia sees her younger self and her maestra from the Renaissance era. Jen hallucinates a doctor forcing her underwater. Alice sees her mother, Lorna Wu, about to commit suicide, and Agatha sees a crib containing the Darkhold. As they prepare the antidote, the house is brought underwater, threatening to drown them. With a few seconds left, they finish the antidote, drink it, and feed it to Sharon. Water pours in, but a tunnel appears in the oven, and the coven escapes through it back to the road. As they recover, the teen discovers that Sharon is dead. R.I.P. Sharon.
The team or teen?
Teen.
Teen discovers. That's right.
Teen discovers.
So the first trial looks like a wonderful suburban. suburbia house that you would see on like Cape Cod.
Yeah,
Live,
beautiful house.
oh my God, it's probably a $3 million piece of property there.
Yeah.
Actually, the walk up to that house,
Uh-huh.
I said, shit, how far back from the main road is that set? And beachfront property?
And
Motherfucker.
beachfront. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the good stuff.
I said, she. I bet there's no HOAs on that.
Hell no. Hell no.
Oh, what a life. What a life. Uh, so the first trial is clearly facing a lot of fears of people.
Hmm.
Um, the wine induces it and triggers that, and each one going through, I was curious to see what um, Agatha's would be, what her true fear would be. And I was actually kind of surprised that it was that relative to the Darkhold.
Hmm.
I was expecting more maybe Nicholas Scratch, given the play up of that in earlier episodes. Um, but I guess not. I was wrong.
Well, I guess it's probably a combination of kind of what we learned a little bit earlier in the episode that perhaps she really did trade her son for the Darkhold. So that, if she
The
traded her son
overlap.
when her son was a baby in that crib, could it have been a straight swap? So here, I give you my baby, you give me Darkhold. Darkhold now goes into the crib. Um,
And who do we maybe think she sold her baby to? Hmm?
I ain't saying it.
Hmm?
I ain't saying it.
Hmm? Oh,
An agent of Mephisto.
yeah, mm.
Whoop, whoop. He said the thing. He said it. He said
You heard it
it.
here, folks. Killy Baplin is calling it.
Killy said it. Killy said it. He said
Keely
it.
said it. Keely said it. So yes, we get the first canonical mention and confirmation that Mephisto is in the MEU,
The extended universe,
entertainment universe.
entertainment universe.
Extended entertainment. I don't know. I don't give a shit. Uh,
Uh,
but yes, we get the first confirmation of Mephisto. Um, we don't know who he is, what his motives are, nothing. But there's more mystery surrounding Teen and more questions and thoughts are coming up that are also both in the audience's heads and in Teen's head to Agatha. And I kind of wonder if really we're being told this story through the point of view of Teen specifically.
mhm.
And he is the audience member who's on the inside, who doesn't entirely understand what's going on, who is excited about Agatha like we all were,
Mhm.
is trying to get something, reach some goal in life, which like motherfucker, who isn't? Um, Trying to gain more power, whether it be more self-assurance or more like whatever your analogy metaphor is for your life goals. And that the audience, we is Teen in this.
Mhm.
And we're being planted and fed those questions at the same time to start to question everything, including each witch's motives as we go further and further down the trials.
Mm. I can see that for sure.
Just made all that shit up on the spot, motherfucker.
Boom! Look at that. That's the Pinot.
We totally planned not recording. We planned this all along.
That's right.
We did not kill Sparky though.
No, even the dog.
Uh,
Um,
yeah.
so I think so. I guess if we look at this, this trial was definitely for it was Jennifer's trial to overcome. So we saw when she had her hallucination, the doctor, who we don't know who that is, attempted to drown her, which also goes back to what they used to do to
Salem
witches
witch
back in the
trials,
day.
drowning, burning. If you weigh more than a duck, you're a witch or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Um, then once she figured out that, hey, you've been poisoned, we need to find an antidote, she was able to tell everybody what to get, how to get it, and she put it all together. Again, this is go back to what you just mentioned a few minutes ago. At what point is what she did magic versus she just threw some shit in the sink and used the immersion circulator to warm it up, you know. Um
The sous vide, which my God, was that one of the whitest of white people motherfucking things to have. I saw that and I was like, how?
I've only ever seen
Of
that
course,
on Food Network.
gay teen knows what a sous vide is and knows how to operate it in this bougie ass $3 million Cape Cod whitest
Yeah.
white suburban houses.
And it warmed up the whole thing in less than like 30 seconds.
I mean,
But again,
sous vides do an incredible job about actually cooking the meat, and then you can throw them in the cast iron to get that sear on them. Turns it in cooking time in half the time. My brother's made some great wings. Highly recommend a sous vide if anyone is thinking about getting one.
but so it was her trial to overcome. It was her thing. Wondering, so you kind of wonder if at that point, did since it was her trial, was it a trial to say, okay, can she come up with the reason or the antidote? Can she come up with how to make the antidote? And then from that, the road rewards her by allowing it to work. And so essentially, the road or the trial
The
is
road
her
infused
magic.
the magic.
Yes. And I just came up with that. So, ha!
Look at us. Like, cheers to that. Cheers to that.
Cheers. Red Solo Cup.
I fill you up. Let's have a party. But yeah, so they each then take their share of the antidote. They spoon
Hmm.
feed it to Sharon,
Hmm.
shove everybody into the oven, very Hansel and Gretel of the witch
Hmm.
type of thing. And I think was there like a nod to Hansel and Gretel earlier? It was like a one-off line, I thought, that was knowing a witch in Europe who got confounded by two kids in an oven or something.
Uh, I don't recall.
I thought there was a little nod to that, which is why I thought the oven was such a good escape.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so they go through, they all slide down, and apparently because Sharon had two helpings of the poison, she needed two helpings of the antidote, which they did not give her.
Right. They also did they get a lock of her hair? Because they all had to put a lock of hair in there as well.
Oh no, they didn't.
Yeah, so that could have also been the reason why.
I think Sharon's Mephisto. I'm saying it now.
Oh, my God. Did that. Ah,
Oh,
I
no.
I got nothing. I ain't saying it.
So that was how we ended episode 3 of just, hey, Sharon's dead.
She gone.
I was so looking forward to more Deborah Jo Rupp.
Well, I mean, it is the MCU, so it's no guarantee that she's gone.
Wow. Wow.
We shall see.
I mean, Phil Coulson hasn't come back yet.
Mm, he came back in
They
Agents of Shield.
they retconned all of that. They retconned every freaking minute of that. That
Fun
could be
fact, I've never seen a freaking minute of that show.
fine. First three seasons were good, and then it was like we're going to the future, we're going to the it's fine. It's fine.
Gotcha.
That can be a whole other podcast episode of retconned projects and being retired.
It's not a bad idea.
Um, yeah, so all in all, we are a third of the way through Agatha All Along.
Yep.
We're enjoying it. We're liking it.
Yes.
We are
Yes.
here for more of the witty banter. I love the on-screen chemistry that all of the actors have. Um, they all have their own personalities, but they're all still witty. And you can sense some frustration from people like Lilia Calderon to Agatha, like, can you fucking just focus? Like, we don't want to be here, but like, can you get your shit together while Agatha's off dancing a loop-de-loop
Yeah.
or something? So I'm really liking it. I'm
Yes.
so far given this 8.5 dark holds.
I am right there with you. Same. 8.5. Yes.
Strong
It's
start.
really it's really good to, like we mentioned before, it's something new or something fresh. It is a spin-off of a spin-off, and it's working.
But it's a part two though, right? Because allegedly WandaVision, Agatha All Along, and then Vision Quest are all like are a
A
trilogy
trilogy,
themselves.
their own trilogy, supposedly. So, but again, it's all right. So it's part two of a spinoff, and it's working. Um, and I think this is something that is good for not only fans of the MCU, but it's good for anyone. It is a good show. So, as
Also
always,
good, specifically an entry point.
yes,
You can
yes,
watch WandaVision without too much prior knowledge and then get into this and then start poking around other MCU projects because that's a big complaint that there's so much content. God forbid we have too much content versus DC, which we have no content for. Like,
yeah. Always, uh kind of roll your eyes when,
yeah,
I mean, you can always say that there's too much to get into. There's what are we at? 16 years worth of
yeah.
IP. I mean, Disney Plus exists. It's all there. No, nothing's stopping you. And there's MCU movies playing on TNT or TBS all weekend long, every weekend. It's almost ridiculous at some points.
Yeah,
Uh,
like you don't get to say that you don't have the time because it's there
right.
always.
Right. You have all the things. You have laptops, you have actual TVs, you got this high-speed thing in your pocket. So there's no excuse. And if even if it was an excuse, there's no need to complain about it. You can just simply not watch it.
Or you can watch it and then shut up and
Shut up and enjoy.
amen to that.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Well, thank you everyone for joining us and hanging in there as we work around our respective insane schedules. We will hopefully be back a little more, but
Yes.
no
We'll do
problem.
our best, and next time we'll record, and hopefully we don't have technical difficulties too.
Yeah. But alrighty, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll hopefully be back, if not next week, the week after, because episode 4 is already out. So we got the part 2 of the second trilogy coming out this week. Yeah, it'll be good stuff, and we will catch you on the flip side.
Good night, everyone.